No historical movement can leap outside of history and start from scratch. But every historical statement and legitimization itself moves within a certain relation to history. The world, in resting upon the earth, strives to surmount it. As self-opening, it cannot endure anything closed. The earth, however, as sheltering and concealing, tends always to draw the world into itself and keep it there. Understanding of being is itself a determination of being of Dasein. Echt Erinnerung ist Zuwendung zum Unerschlossenen in Wendigen des Gewissen. Echts Erinnern ist ein Ahnen. But what is great can only begin great. There is no such thing as an empty word, only one that is worn out yet remains full. We make a space inside ourselves so that being can speak. Thinking begins only when we have come to know that reason, glorified for centuries, is the stiff-necked adversary of thought. Do we know ourselves, our /self /? How are we supposed to be ourselves if we are not ourselves? And how can we be ourselves without knowing who we are, such that we are certain of being the ones we are? Being is only being for Dasein. Philosophy will not be able to effect an immediate transformation of the present condition of the world. This is not only true of philosophy, but of all merely human thought and endeavor. Iedereen is der ander, and niemand is zichzelf. Every one is the other, and no one is himself. The they, which supplies the answer to the who of everyday Dasein, is the nobody to whom every Dasein has always already surrendered itself in its being among one another. To think being itself explicitly requires disregarding being to the extent that it is only grounded and interpreted in terms of beings and for beings as their ground, as in all metaphysics. As soon as we are born, we are old enough to die. The question concerning technology is the question concerning the constellation in which revealing and concealing, in which the coming to presence of truth comes to pass. The boundary is not that at which something stops, but that from which something begins. The song still remains which names the land over which it sings. Certainly, dialectic is a magnificent thing, but one never finds the dialectic, as if it were a mill which exists somewhere and into which one empties whatever one chooses, or whose mechanism one could modify according to taste and need. Man stares at what the explosion of the atom bomb could bring with it. He does not see that the atom bomb and its explosion are the mere final emission of what has long since taken place, has already happened. We do not say being is time is, but rather there is being and there is time. We name time when we say everything has its time. This means everything which actually is, every being comes and goes at the right time and remains for a time during the time allotted to it. Everything has its time. Language speaks, and not the human. Only if we are capable of dwelling, only then can we build. The meeting of the solitary ones can happen only in solitude. Our thinking today is charged with a task to think what the Greeks have thought in an even more Greek manner. The relation of feeling toward art and its bringing forth can be one of production or one of reception and enjoyment. When we say something about something, we make it lie there before us, which means at the same time to make it appear. Technology is a mode of revealing. Technology comes to presence in the realm where revealing and unconcealment take place, where aletheia, truth, happens. Being alone is a deficient mode of being with. Its possibility is a proof for the latter. The average, vague understanding of being can be permeated by traditional theories and opinions about being in such a way that these theories, as the sources of the prevailing understanding, remain hidden. Questioning is the piety of thought. The divinity of the gods must first eventuate before God appears and before the naming word, which names the gods can be heard. Only from the truth of being can the essence of the holy be thought. Perhaps what is distinctive about this world epoch consists in the closure of the dimension of the holy. Perhaps that is the only unholy malignancy. On this way if to keep falling down and getting up can be called a way, it is always and only the same question of the meaning of being that is asked. No goal given to this humanity reaches what is essential, but the Americans take this state of nullity as the promise for their future, since they indeed nullify everything in the semblance of universal happiness. Americanism is the pinnacle of nihilism. When modern physics exerts itself to establish the world's formula, what occurs thereby is this: the being of entities has resolved itself into the method of the totally calculable. Dwelling is not primarily inhabiting, but taking care of and creating that space within which something comes into its own and flourishes. Each one of us is what he pursues and cares for. In everyday terms, we understand ourselves and our existence by way of the activities we pursue and the things we care of. Transcendence constitutes selfhood. Nothing is everything that doesn't happen at this very moment. Nature has no history. We should never allow our fears or the expectations of others to set the frontiers of our destiny. All future interpretation of Greek metaphysics, including Nietzsche's, is Christian. We should live totally in the face of the night and of the evil. If I take death into my life, acknowledge it, and face it squarely, I will free myself from the anxiety of death and the pettiness of life, and only then will I be free to become myself. I take great pleasure every day in seeing my work deeply rooted in our native soil. Language is the house of being. In its home man dwells. Those who think and those who create with words are the guardians of this home. Man dies constantly until the moment of his demise. As long as it is, Dasein always has understood itself and always will understand itself in terms of possibilities. The poets are in the vanguard of a changed conception of being. Even in expecting, one leaps away from the possible and gets a footing in the real. It is for its reality that what is expected is expected. By the very nature of expecting, the possible is drawn into the real, arising from it and returning to it. Man acts as though he were the shaper and master of language, while in fact language remains the master of man.